Hey everyone, welcome to Grinders Live. It's Monday, and if you listen to the morning grind today, you know that I have a serious case of the Mondays. Also, if you listen to the morning grind today, then you knew that we were going to have morning grind part 2 on Grinders Live today. I'm joined by my good buddy Will Priester. Chief, what's happening, Coach?
Nothing much, brother. Another day, another dollar. Really excited to come on yet again. We don't usually get a back-to-back show together, so I'm definitely going to try to make the most of this time. I think as the day has gone along, Stevie, I've become a little bit more in love with this slate. Um, God, this is starting to feel like possibly one of my favorite slates of the year, and I definitely did not anticipate that. I guess last night when we were recording, but like I said, as the day has come to fruition, man, I actually really like this slate.
All right, that's a good slate. I mean, it's one of those slates where you kind of have a little bit of everything. You have top end arms, you have a lot of bats, you have a lot of ownership on certain games. So there's different ways that you can get different ways you can get different. See, it is, dude. I'm feeling the Mondays. Like we talked about it. We talked about it last night. Like I work 7 days a week, so like I don't usually get the Mondays, but I have a serious case of the Mondays today. But yeah, I mean, I've done more research as well. I do premium content Monday through Wednesday for baseball, so I always kind of dig a little bit more in. No Dino this week, so filling in, hosting. I'm on a couple times this week filling in, so hopefully Dean enjoys a little Dean time. And yeah, man, I'm excited to talk some baseball. We'll do it normal style, Grinders Live style. We won't do it morning grind style. We'll talk position by position. If you have questions, head on over to YouTube. I have the chat pulled up. Also, Steve and Dev are shooting me questions if you guys are posting them. So I'll try to answer them as we're going because I technically try to do that as much as I can when I'm doing NASCAR shows, and it just makes it flow easier. So if you have a question about a pitcher, when we're talking pitchers, ask it. So also, one more thing, Chief. Like, Dean's not here this week. You know what would make me really happy? If we have more likes on videos than when Dean is here. Let's just make him feel terrible for being gone. So if you're over on YouTube, hit the like button. Always make sure you subscribe. Hit the little dingy button so you know when we're going live and post content. So a ton of great content comes out on YouTube each and every day. Also, if you're into best ball, Spike Week is rolling. It is time for Scott Fishbowl. I did my first 10 picks live this past weekend in Orlando. It was the first time they're doing live drafts. It was a ton of fun. Met a ton of people. We had a ton of blast doing that. So, really, I mean, Spike Week is just crushing it. They have a ton of stuff for best ball. The premium membership over there has best ball kits for NFL, NBA, MLB, NFL playoffs, PGA, stuff like that. So, yeah, let's get into it. If you haven't already, check that out, spikeweek.com. But let's just do a quick overview of the slate, Chief. What are you looking at just right off the bat here?
Well, this isn't some, let's call it revelation, but I think it is a revelation for me because for the first time in a long time, I'm just not sure I can completely fade Coors. And I know that might not, that may not feel like a lot, but typically I'm going to fade Coors every time. I don't think I can do it on this one with Jose Urena there, with the Rockies, in my opinion, hitting a lot better, having some guys that are going to be pesky like Jose Iglesias. And I bring up Jose Iglesias because he's just not going to strike out a ton. May not hit home runs, but he's going to cause problems from a 9 with that 9% K rate. All in all, man, I think it's Coors for me, and I think it's Max Scherzer on DK. It just feels like the right pairing. You got Brian Bello. I think he's going to pick up more steam as the we get a little bit closer to lock. I think because of the bellow effect and Coors bats being so cheap, it's probably going to get chalky. And so that's where I got to figure out, okay, where do I get a little bit different? Because when you got bats and Coors on DK under 3K, like to me, that's a bit insane. And that's what's happened today. But I still don't think I can completely fade it. I've attacked Jose Uranium pretty much since he's been pitching. He's not going to get blown up all the time, but he's not great. The K rate's low. I think that's my overview. And there's some spots we can get different, and we'll talk about those. But for the first time in a long time, I think you need to play Coors today.
Yeah, and, this is one of those spots where I could see both teams just absolutely smashing in Coors. Sean Manaea is a sinker baller in Coors, facing a Rockies team that is, top 5 in Major League Baseball this season against left-handed pitching. So Urena is not good. So, I mean, both of these bats, implied team total wise, they're both at 5.5. The next highest, I think, is 4.8 on this slate. So there's places to be different, and there's places to potentially stack with, San Diego and Colorado, where, we're getting good ownership. Like, we'll talk about Cleveland. We'll talk about Jose Ramirez. He's getting a ton of ownership, but his counterparts really aren't getting a ton of ownership. Texas is a team that I'm definitely going to have a Texas Coors stack because I love Texas today against Martinez, and they actually don't project for a ton of ownership. So that's one of the stacks that I'm definitely looking at pairing with either the Rockies or the Padres. But I'm with you from looking outside in. It's just one of those don't overthink it spots today. Play Coors. So we'll talk about position by position and, the slate in general. Also, again, if you have questions, post them in chat. We've done a show already together today. We know what we're both, kind of feeling today. So if you have questions, throw it out there. Let's start here with the pitchers. I mean, at the top, we got Max Scherzer, who returned and looked fantastic in his return.
Oh, man.
11 strikeouts against the Reds. I mean, the Braves lineup is out. Will, what are we doing here with Max Scherzer?
Well, I think we're going to continue to talk about it the same way we talked about it this morning. I am not afraid of the Braves lineup. And what I mean is I'm not afraid when it comes to Max Scherzer. Do I think he can go out here and get 8 strikeouts? I absolutely do. In terms of the Braves K rates overall, they are coming down, but that's, you've got a strikeout guy like Max Scherzer who's sitting at 30+% all the time. I mean, Acuna at 24, Swanson at 27, Olsen at 22, Raleigh at 24, Ozuna at 20, Rosario at 23 with a very low ISO, Travis d'Arnaud at 20, Harris at 21 with the 269 ISO, Olsen with the 245, Raleigh with the 241. Does Max Scherzer give up some runs? Maybe he gives up a home run, but I don't expect him to get shelled here because the Braves also aren't walking a lot, and he's not walking guys a lot. So the strikeouts are going to be there. I think Max Scherzer is still the best pitcher on this slate. That hasn't changed since this morning. I'm all aboard the Max Scherzer train.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have him as my top pitcher today. I mean, the matchup's tough, right? Like, he's facing Atlanta. On paper, Atlanta's tough, but they're also very right-handed heavy, and Scherzer is just like, he has a .009 ISO against righties this season. Like, that's not even like an error. Like, that's beyond elite. That's a silly number. It's a silly number. And okay, so there's a couple lefties in the lineup. I think Harris is good. I think Olsen is good, but Robbie Cano is in the lineup today for Atlanta. Like, Robbie Cano is not hitting hard at all. He's definitely past his prime. Rosario hasn't shown a ton of power since coming back. So, obviously I'm worried about the fly balls. I'm worried about the home runs. I'm worried about this being in Atlanta. But overall, I'm chasing the ceiling with Scherzer here. Do I think Fried's a solid option? Yeah, Fried's a solid option. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, if we're looking for ceiling, we know that, Scherzer has more ceiling than Fried. The other guy that I think has similar ceiling to Scherzer on this slate is Nola. These would be the two guys that, like, if I'm searching for ceiling, it's going to be there. My issue, St. Louis rolled out a lineup that doesn't have a ton of power, but they also don't strike out a ton. What are your thoughts here on Nola?
Like Nola, don't love Nola. And, once again, this is just one of those teams where I've just stopped picking on St. Louis overall. This lineup is a little different, so we don't have Arenado in the lineup, but still, like you said, very, very low strikeout team overall. I mean, he'll probably get Gorman and Yepes, and maybe he gets them both twice, Stevie. And then maybe he gets a couple other guys once, but I feel like the upside is limited. Once again, I don't think he's going to get shelled, and so with low ISO, it's not a perfect science for me. But what I'm thinking about is, are there going to be a lot of ground ball outs or fly ball outs because of the low power? And the answer is probably yes, but that's also not going to equate to strikeouts. What it could equate to, though, Stevie, is a very lengthy pitching performance that doesn't have the strikeouts, like 7 innings, 6 Ks, 8 innings, 6 Ks, something like that. And if that's the case, then he still ends up being a very beneficial play. Once again, love Nola. I mean, like Nola, don't love him. I don't think he needs to get the X button, but I don't think the strikeouts are going to be there. And I think if you're playing him, you're hoping that he just doesn't give up the runs today. And I mean, he could very well not give up any runs, but Max Scherzer is still going to grade out as the top guy for me.
In this price range, we have Max Fried as well. We know Fried's not an elite strikeout pitcher, but I mean, he's above average pitcher in general. The Mets are worse against left-handed pitching than they are against righties. They don't have a ton of power in this lineup outside of Alonso, Kana, and Escobar. Talk to me here about Max Fried. I'm looking at Fried and I'm going, man, this guy probably going to have a really good quality start. He's going to generate a ton of ground balls. I mean, we're probably looking at a solid outing at really low ownership compared to the other two, but does he have that same ceiling? I think is the biggest question for me.
I don't think he has the ceiling. I would take Nola over Fried just because of the uptick in strikeout percentage today. Once again, not expecting Max Fried to get shelled either, but for a guy that is sub 25% of the strikeout department, look, he's been really good. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm down on Max Fried as a pitcher. It's just the upside today. I think he's faced the Mets, and I think he's put up. He had a 6 strikeout game. That was a lot earlier this season. Do I think he can go out and get 5 strikeouts? Probably. Are the prop providers going to award me or afford me the opportunity to do that? Maybe, but most of the sites have him at 5. I think our premium projections have him at 5.76 in terms of projected strikeouts. So I think I'm going to leave Fried on the shelf. Here's what I'll say, Steve. If he goes 6 innings, 6 Ks, he's going to probably be really beneficial today at 9,600. Just because that's giving you a little bit of a discount off the top guys. The issue is I think Scherzer is going for 8 to 10 Ks here. And so I think the difference in Ks is going to allow me to leave him on the shelf for the $700 difference.
So we do have a question in chat that I find very interesting. They were talking about Max Scherzer's pitch count, and he threw 79 pitches in his return against the Reds. That's very similar to what he had early in the season. His first start was against Washington. He threw 80 pitches. They ramped him right up to 96 pitches. I think we see Scherzer in the 92 to 96 pitch count range here. I'd put a max at probably 105, and I just pulled up the bat really quick as well. It's right around the same thing, 92, max probably 118. So I think he does see a nice increase in pitches here, and honestly, it's just one of those things too. We're not dealing with like any extreme pitchers or hitters umpires. So at the end of the day, we're just kind of playing the guys that we like. I think we don't see him get up there in the 100 pitches, but I think Max throws 90 to 95 pitches here. And I think with Nola in a subpar strikeout matchup and Max in a big-time strikeout matchup, I think I'm okay with 90 to 95 pitches here.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you 100%. And let me just say, Stevie, to everyone that's in the prop shop or not in the prop shop, just drop a full Coors card for props. If you're in the props on Prize Picks, go over there, gobble it up. Just dropped it live while we're on the air. And once again, I'm with you, Max Cruz here.
I dropped a Coors 5 picker in Prize Picks on the prop shop earlier today. Actually, it was 4. It was 4 Coors and Corey Seager over 1.5 total bases. So
I like that. You know, Seager's my home run call today, anyways. I love that.
Yeah, I'm all about the Texas Rangers today. So really like the Texas Rangers. All right, once we get past Scherzer, Fried, Nola, personally, I think there's a giant drop off in upside and talent, really. So let's talk about this next kind of range here. You have Kelly, Manaea, Mikolas, Lynn. Any of these guys jumping off the board to you here?
I think if, you know, the way this is setting up, despite, and I'm going to stay in this 8K range, Stevie, despite what I consider the lack of strikeouts, if I had to choose one between Manaea, Mikolas, and Lynn, it would probably be Mikolas. And I'm not playing Mikolas today because of the limited strikeouts. But if I absolutely had to take one, that's who it would be. Not going to take Manaea in Coors today. Don't want to take Lance Lynn against Cleveland. Although I do think, you know, Lance Lynn has the most strikeout upside per se. But I think I'd go Mikolas just because I think, you know, Philly's been, God, they're so inconsistent. We could get bad Philly today. Weather Edge really likes this game, so that scared me off some. Quite frankly, I don't want to play any of them, but if gun to my head, you're making me choose, probably going Mikolas.
I mean, I'm not putting a gun to your head, so there you go. Like, you know, I don't think you really have to play any of these guys. I think Mikolas is probably the best of the rest type of option. I mean, we could even, you know, obviously I think Alex Cobb's in play if that Arizona lineup comes out, but we're seeing a lot of ownership on a guy like Bello today, especially on DraftKings, because he is 5K. He is a very talented prospect. I mean, this guy, he has electric stuff, and he just really struggled against Tampa. And we're seeing people like get over that recency bias, and we're gonna see ownership on Bello today in the same matchup against Tampa, but in Tampa instead of in Fenway. And honestly, he's on 2 of my 3 teams that I built this morning, because I know the talent is there. You know, and if you play 5K him, you play Scherzer, Nola, Fried, whoever you want to play with him, you play any bat that you want. Like realistically, you play any bat that you want if you do that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I guess my question is, how high owned is the Scherzer Bello combo going to be today? Right, like that's the decision you got to make. It's going to be up there, and you know, how much different do we get with the bats? Well, you know, I think we talked about the fact that we like Texas and some Boston. I like a little bit of Boston today as well. I think that will help us definitely differentiate our stats. I'm not seeing any high ownership on Texas anywhere. So, I mean, I think we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what lineups look like today, because I think a lot of people playing Bello play Scherzer or Nola. So, I mean, if you're playing Bello and you want to get different, maybe that's a lineup that you take a stand and maybe play Max Fried. Daniel Lynch. Oh, man. I don't know what to think about.
Probably coming around 80. I think he tops out at 80 today, Stevie.
What's that?
I said I would assume Lynch tops out at 80 today. I know you weren't asking about pitches, but it was just at the forefront of my mind. So that's where I think he tops out coming back off the 15-day.
80. I mean, okay. Is 80 enough to beat Detroit, though?
It may be. Listen, I made some. Hear me out. I made really good money today off of Brad Keller, so I I have no problems getting behind Mr. Lynch today. But once again, I do think his pitch count will probably be curtailed a bit.
I think Bello has a higher ceiling than Lynch, and if they were the same price, I'd probably still play Bello over Lynch.
Yeah, they say he's not expected to be on a pitch limit, but I don't know. Coming out the 15-day, I don't want to risk it.
There's a finger thing too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
with him. So I don't know. His lowest amount of pitches he threw all season was 79. So I don't think that. I think he still sees like 85 to 90 pitches if he pitches well here. Second half of a double or double header. Dude, like the Mondays have got me today, Will. I'm just accepting it. Man, I'm just accepting. I'm gonna go like shave my beard or something. Like just
yeah.
I need to reset the day somehow. But anyway, if Bello and Lynch were the same price, would you still play Bello over Lynch?
Give me a second. Give me 1 second, okay? I've got a tie break. I'm trying to look at something.
Detroit lineup is out. They went very right-handed heavy against Lynch.
I think I take Bello today. I think that would maybe. I think I would take Bello one more time, straight up, especially with the big price. But you said if they were the same price. Still think I'd take Bello. The bottom of this order, starting at 5 here, low Mahia, Raleigh. I mean, some of them are limited sample sizes, but outside of Yandy Diaz, I'm not really worried about anybody. Bello should be able to get some Ks here tonight. And for what it's worth, I'm going to take his live prop. His innings 1 through 2 is sitting at 1.5. I'm going to take the over on that, and I'm going to take the over on his full game at 4.5. Like I'm going to trust what we think the potential is in a pitcher's park today, and hopefully we are rewarded at the end of the night.
Yeah, I have like 3 or 4 prize picks with Bello over 4.5 strikeouts. I like that a lot over there. If it's still 4.5, I don't know what it is.
And I'm pairing that with Scherzer over 2.5 strikeouts through the first 2 innings. Could be wrong. We'll see. But I think I've got a good read here. I'm going to roll with it.
So really quick, as far as like Lynch is concerned, he does have better strikeout against righties. So it helps a little bit that there's some, obviously there's a lot of righties in this lineup, but the lineup that they rolled out there as well, not a lot of power and a lot of walks. So I see Lynch as a viable option today. And it really is just because this mid-tier kind of stinks. I don't want to play Adrian Martinez against Texas. Alex Vadua, he's not good, So at the end of the day, it just comes down to he's the option. Fleming is the long reliever against Boston. I don't like that at all, especially playing on like a long relief situation. The other guy that I think we should talk about is Spencer Howard today.
This Oakland lineup. Have you seen it, Stevie?
Man, I see the Oakland lineup every
Stevie,
day.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. I'm not sure. I don't think you caught this show, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, that's perfectly fine. I've got a question for you. Are you, my good friend, and maybe the listeners know what we're about to do. This is a small slate, so I think they can roll with me. Are you, by chance, about to pump up Spencer Howard? By chance, are you about to do this, Stevie?
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you watched the last show, Stevie is about to pump up Spencer Howard. You know what time it is. You already know. Just Spencer Howard. Pump it up play of the day. Spencer Howard, folks. All right, Steve. We can only go 5 seconds. We don't want them to turn off the stream. You go right ahead. Let's pump up Spencer Howard.
See, I mean, that's worth a like over there on YouTube. Like, we're trying to beat Dean's normal like total. So, Chiefs bringing the heat. But yeah, I mean, the Oakland lineup's terrible. It's
rough.
We've waited and we've waited and we've waited for Spencer Howard to show the potential that we know he has. You're obviously worried, but I mean, when you're looking for a pivot off of Bello, I think Spencer Howard is that guy. I think if he can get 5, he should win. So you get the win points. But yeah, man, just overall here, Will, like, who are you really afraid of in this lineup? Yeah, Brown has some power, but no one else has an ISO over 150. Like, yeah, man, it's tough. It's rough.
Yeah, I will say this. Spencer Howard is definitely a pivot here. I know people probably aren't going to agree that much, but the lineup is really rough. Also, I've been plugging in props today. If you haven't been able to tell, Spencer Howard over 1.5 strikeouts, innings 1 through 2. I like that one as well, Stevie. At 1.5, I think he can get 2 strikeouts through 2 innings today. If you look at this lineup, so in on Howard, and I'm with you. So here's the thing, folks. Spencer Howard isn't some elite pitcher, but when all the ownership is going to be piling up on Bello, I definitely think it could be advantageous. If they both end up with 15 points, let's say Spencer Howard's at 15.8 and Bello ends at 15.2. Well, Spencer Howard inches him out. Maybe that's the difference between first and second place. As it stands right now, we've got Howard projected for 13.79 fantasy points and Bello projected for 15.89. So, it's a 2-point differential. I guess we're saying Bello is better. I do love Bello today, but I'm with you, Steve. With the lineup that Oakland is trotting out here, Spencer Howard could absolutely get it done, but he probably will only be out there 4 innings. So you're going to have to hope he just really throwing the heat during that span.
We just got a Kansas City lineup, so we'll talk about that as we're talking hitters. Is there any other pitcher on this slate that you want to talk about? We did have a question really quick. If Whistler was okay on DK, that's an easy one, Will. No, he's not okay. He's just opening this game. What do we think here for Whistler? 2 innings max, but probably 1 inning.
Oh yeah. He's not going to be in there long for sure.
Yeah,
not going to be in there long.
We're not playing Matt Whistler today. Play the Red Sox righties because Fleming's going to come in. Oh, and we're getting questions about Lance Lynn. Do you have any interest here in Lance Lynn today?
Once again, I just don't think I want to risk it with him facing Cleveland. To me, it's kind of like St. Louis. Now, Lance Lynn is cheap enough, in my opinion, to take a shot, but I still don't think I want to do it. All in all, the Cleveland lineup, outside of Franmil Reyes, it's just going to be really tough, I think, for him to pitch around these top 4, Stevie, and then let alone Franmil can still get a hold of one. I don't think I can do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 4 righties in the lineup. We really need to see 6, 7 righties in a lineup for me to have interest in Lance Lynn. He only has a 13% K rate against lefties. He really struggles with lefties in general. Naylor's back in the lineup. Ramirez is in there. Quan doesn't strike out. So, I mean, he's just going to face a lineup that doesn't strike out a lot. There's some power in this lineup. So, I actually kind of like the Cleveland stack we talked about on the morning grind today.
Yeah, Cleveland's sneaky for sure. For sure.
So, sum up pitchers for me. Just give me a quick rundown for someone that's just coming on the show, hitting the like button over there on YouTube. Sum up pitchers for them.
In my opinion, Max Scherzer is the top play on the day. Brian Bello is the cheap pitcher of the day. Mr. Howard, Spencer Howard, is a cheap pivot away from Bello. I don't think I mentioned this, but If I had to play someone in the 7K range, it's probably some form of Kelly Cobbr Lynch. And that's where I think we end up today. Aaron Nola would be my backup big spin. Don't really want to play Max Fried, even though I think he could still go out there and have a quality start. I just think his strikeout potential is going to be limited today.
All right. Before we get into talking about position by position, we start
before Stevie, we got him.
That's right.
All right, 5 seconds.
Before we get into talking catchers and position by position, again, if you're over there in the YouTube chat, if you have questions, we'll answer them as we're going. We've done a show together today. We know what we like. If you haven't checked out Scores and Odds, do that. It's the number one place with all things sports betting. A ton of us DFS players and analysts are over there helping and plugging stuff. And I did a Scores and Odds parlay today, single game parlay. I'm 1-0 in the season, so I'm putting my record aside for my single game parlays, and I'm going to give it out as a freebie today. It's risking 1 unit to win 5.2. The last time I checked, I haven't checked in a while, but it's Cronenworth, Connor Joe, and Trent Gresham all to get over 1.5 total bases. So 2 total bases for each of them. Single game parlay over there. Grant's absolutely crushing the home run calls right now. So a ton of people. Keith, Will does some stuff over there. Albert's been posting stuff over there as well. Luch. So if you haven't checked out Scores and Odds, do that. Check it out. Yeah, it's like I said, right now there's a summer special going on. First month of picks for $9.99. You're not going to beat that anywhere. So check that out. Let's talk catchers. You know me, I like to save money at catcher, but at the end of the day today, Will, do we really need to save money? It's very easy if you want to play Nola and Scherzer together. And I guess before we get into catchers, let's talk about this in general. Today, with San Diego and Colorado in such great spots and as cheap as they are, what are your thoughts of leaving like $2,000 on the table today and just making your lineup different by leaving salary instead of saying, hey, I'm going to stack a team that I don't really like today?
Yeah, I'm in. I am all about leaving some salary, Stevie. Like, if you can do it, do it. It should still, come out to your favor, especially like we talked about. If we think, let's say we think Brian Bello is going to have a really or a much better game today, right? Anywhere in the 15 to 20 fantasy point range. If Brian Bello ends with 18 fantasy points, that's probably going to be do really well. We've got enough room to do all sorts of things. If you've got him and Scherzer, you got 4,300 left over. I'm with you. Leaving money on the table is a boss move today. Boss move.
Yeah, so I've built 3 teams, and one of my teams right now has $2,100 left over, and I think I'm going to leave it. I think I really like it. It's a San Diego stack. I like where it's at, and I think it's going to be unique. And I think at the end of the day today, you kind of want a unique San Diego or Colorado stack. I mean, their implied team totals definitely say, these are the best 2 teams today and facing 2 of the worst pitchers. So I think I'm going to leave it. I think I'm just going to leave $2,000 on the table and let it ride today. I think that's one way that I'm going to be different. We talked about Texas and Kansas City. I like Boston. I like Cleveland a little bit. So plenty of teams to potentially stack with those chalky teams. Let's talk catcher. What's standing out to you today at catcher?
So many good things, Stevie. I think my favorite catcher today is someone that, in my opinion is, let's call it, probably going to be off the beaten path just a tad. I'm going back to Christian Vasquez as a one-off catcher. I know he's 4,600, but he's been hitting really well here. I think at 4,600, he's not going to get the ownership that he should. He's going to be facing lefties galore. at least initially. So I like Christian Vasquez. I think he's off the beaten path. I think he's a guy that's going to get us some fantasy points. And so I am in. I mean, a 16% K rate. You got Fleming, who's pretty much going to be throwing sinkers most of the time, and he's got pretty good numbers in the sinker. Now the ISO isn't there, but he's got a 50% hard hit rate and a 94% contact rate, Stevie, and most importantly, a 5.8% whiff rate. He just should not be striking out today, even in Tampa. So that's kind of my off the beaten path catcher. If we're going in the opposite direction, of course, I want to get in some Nolas. Just he should crush today, as long as. And wait a minute, the lineup is out. Is Austin Nola? Let's see. No, he's not catching. Alfaro's catching. So yeah. So Alfaro, of course, at 3,600 against Urania, like I'm in.
Yeah, I mean Alfaro is definitely in play. I think my favorite catcher today is Melendez. He's hitting leadoff against Fadillo tonight, so I like Melendez a lot. Again, I really like Kansas City today, so the fact that he's hitting leadoff, I think the lineup is going to scare some people off too. It's missing some of the key pieces in that lineup for the second half of the doubleheader, so I like Melendez. He's probably my favorite catcher play today. I like the Vasquez call. He's going to get a righty his first at bat, and his next two at bats he'll get a lefty. So that obviously helps him a little bit. He's much better against lefties than he is against righties. And then the other name that I'll throw out there is Joanne Heim. Really like Texas today. So if I'm looking at Texas overall, I think he's someone that you could potentially play. If Joey Bart is in there, he's a 2K punt catcher. Don't think you'll need him today. I don't think you'll need punts in general today. So I think for the most part, I will have either Melendez, Alfaro, or Heim at catcher today. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Before we get into first base, we had a couple questions. Who's your favorite non-core spend up? But they're asking, they're between Jose Ramirez and Corey Seager. Do you have a favorite non-core spend up today?
It's Corey Seager for me. It's been Corey Seager since yesterday. And I love Jose, man. Like, seriously. I think Jose's big time in play here. 9% K rate, 329 ISO, 12% walk rate. But for some reason, man, I think, Seager doesn't have the numbers per se, but I like what I'm seeing here. He's going to be, seeing mostly sinker, 83% contact rate, 38% ground ball rate on this, Stevie, 44% hard hit rate, 480 WOBA. I really like Corey Seager a great deal. But I think with the way the slate shakes out, guess what, folks? Just play them both. Like, if you play Corey Seager and Jose Ramirez, your lineup's different. I don't think you're going to see too much of that combination. I like Seager a lot. I'm advocating that you just go ahead and play them both.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a new member at RotoGrinders. Do you guys ever talk about a team you like to win outright?
Oh, yeah. Well, good question.
You can, again, Scores and Odds, $9.99 first month. Check that out. There's always picks like that over there. But, yeah, I mean, most days when we're looking at slates in general, looking at like the DFS and numbers side of things, like I usually have a good idea of who I like. You can also check out the prop shop. Welcome to RotoGrinders member. RotoGrinders.com/Discord. The prop shop is free. Will is always posting stuff in there. I post stuff in there all the time too. I'm like an honorary member of the prop shop.
Yes. No, you're not honorary, Stevie. You're a member.
No, I'm just honorary. I don't want the pressure of like having to post stuff all the time. So I'm just honorary. Come in. We'll call it a guest member. Just kidding.
I can roll with that.
All right, we'll call it. All right, Snacks. Tell me who you're snacking on first base today.
Oh man, first base is very interesting to me. It might not seem like it on the surface, but very loaded. CJ Cron against Shamanai at 5,100. He's going to stand out for sure. You may not like Josh Naylor as much on paper, but trust me, Lance Lynn will be struggling against these lefties. I like Naylor. at 4,300. Jose Abreu against Cal Quantrill. I don't hate him. I do like Howard, but I also like Seth Brown at 3,900. He's probably maybe our cheap bat. I think those are some of my favorite plays, Steve. I'm going to leave it there.
So at first base, I mean, we have almost 3 minimum salary first basemen that are all in play today. You have Eric Hosmer and Coors batting 5th against Urena at 2.1K. Obviously he's super cheap and he's going to be popular today. Ryan O'Hearn is batting 5th for Kansas City in the second doubleheader if you're playing on DraftKings. So, I mean, those two guys are in fantastic spots. Luke Voigt is 3.6K in that same Coors game. Who do you think? I'm guessing, I mean, I'm on the Voigt gets more ownership than Hosmer side. I think they're both fantastic plays. Do you think Voigt or Hosmer gets more ownership?
That's a good question. I think Voigt because of the name value. I like Hosmer a great deal, but Voigt probably definitely gets more.
I think Voigt gets more because you don't necessarily need the value today because there's so much cheap. Like, it's so easy to play Scherzer and Nola with Voigt or Hosmer. Doesn't matter. My favorite spend up first baseman today is CJ Cron. We're in that Coors game. We're talking a lot about San Diego, but I like the Rockies just as much as I like San Diego today for what it's worth. Manaea is a sinker baller pitching in Coors. This is a fantastic spot for one of the top offenses against left-handed pitching. So Cron is definitely someone that I'm looking at today. We'll talk about Rockies as we're going. You mentioned Josh Naylor, like that call a lot. And yeah, I mean, I don't mind Seth Brown. I just don't know if I play him today. He's going to have no ownership though. So moving over to second base. I mean, the chalky second baseman, and it's not even close today, is Cronenworth. He's 4.1K, hitting leadoff against Urena in Coors, probably playing 5. Talk to me here about second base, and I mean, you can start with the chalk here in Jake Cronenworth.
Yeah, I mean, Cronenworth, 4,100. Easy plug-in. I've got him, if you hopped in, I've got him in my Coors build at over 8.5 fantasy points, I think. I actually like Brendan Rodgers more than I like Cronenworth today, Stevie. And so I'm going to, if I was building 150 line, I'd probably be double the field, maybe even triple on Brendan Rodgers. Really good numbers. He's a secondary home run call of the day for me. Let me just read out a couple stats here, Stevie, for the people so they can kind of understand my affection for Mr. Rodgers today. But on the season against lefties, 209 ISO, 399 WOBA, 11.9% K rate, 25.3% line drive rate, 46% hard hit rate. He's going to be seeing the sinker a lot. And on that pitch, I think I mentioned it already, but a 96% contact rate, 3.57% whiff rate, 46% hard hit rate, 467 ISO on the sinker. That's in 14 batted ball events on the season. I like Rodgers a lot, man. He's my favorite second baseman, bar none. So I will have more of him than Cronenworth. Also, Marcus Semien out there in Texas. We've talked about Texas as well. I like him a lot. I did mention Tony Kemp last night. I'm going to get off of Tony Kemp. We were just kind of talking about some of these Oakland guys that we might like. But those are really my top 2, Stevie. I don't think I'm going to venture too far outside of them. Oh, one last guy. Trevor Story. He may be a little bit off the beaten path today, but I think he's big time in play, Stevie. At least at the recording of this, I'm looking, I could be off, but it looks like we've got him at 2.2%. That couldn't be more wrong. And if that's correct, beef up your Trevor Story ownership. In fact, at second base, we just got to pump up Trevor Story here, Stevie. He needs more ownership. All right, done.
Yeah, and the ideal scenario for Boston is they get out of the first and whoever's hitting 5th gets out and Story gets to face a lefty in his first at bat. So yeah, I like Trevor Story. I like Cronenworth. I like the Rogers call, but I really like the Marcus Semien call today. Spending up to get different is something that I love to do, and he's in a fantastic spot here. They should score a ton of runs, Texas, tonight. So I like paying up to be different with him. I think there's a lot of opportunity costs at second base today. So I think second base is a position I would be spending up for. I don't really have a ton of options under 3K. I definitely don't love anybody down there. So second base, paying up at second base today. Let's go over to the hot corner. I mean, we're going to see a ton of ownership on Jose Ramirez and Manny Machado today. So they're two fantastic plays. You know, you can obviously try to get different, but I mean, for the most part, you're looking at those two guys.
Yeah, man. Manny Machado is he's a big time play today. He's 4,900, Stevie. Now, once again, we've talked about Jose, right, at 5,200. I definitely think he's a great pivot. I like him a lot. But Manny Machado at 49 is, just an exceptional play. This is one guy I talked about, Stevie. I think I mentioned this on the pod last night, especially if he was going to continue to lead off, and that's Josh Smith from Texas at 3,200. Yep. Like, I'm in. Love Josh Smith today. Stevie, we talked about Moncada last night, right? Where he would end up on the spectrum. He's 3K, batting in the 2-hole. I like Moncada today. At some point, the hits are going to come. The power's going to be back. I just think it's taking him a little bit of time. But at 3K and 3,200 respectively for Smith and Moncada, if I want to just spend up in other places and maybe not play Machado and not play a Jose Ramirez, I really, really like these two bats.
I like the Josh Smith call. Again, I really like Texas. I think the White Sox are pretty sneaky today as well. Cal Quantrill doesn't strike anybody out. I'm hitting lefty against him, and I'm putting the ball in play. It might only be past the pitcher's mound, but man, Cal Quantrill doesn't have that big strikeout stuff. So for me, I like the Moncada call. I know we haven't talked about the White Sox a lot. I like them as a whole. Again, I think there's a lot of opportunity costs at third base, so I'm not really looking to go down past Moncada. And people in chat keep asking if we're fading Coors. I'm not fading Coors today. I'm all in on Coors today.
That's why I started the show saying, hey, and if you've been listening, I do typically fade Coors. Like that's something I do, but I just didn't feel like today was that day.
All right, talk to me here about shortstop.
So at shortstop for me, it's plenty of Corey Seager. And then Stevie, when I'm done investing in Corey Seager, I'm just going to plug him in some more.
Yeah. Listen, again, I love Texas. I'm right there with you. I love Corey Seager today. I think Javi Baez gets decent ownership today. I think Bobby Witt Jr. gets decent ownership today. I could see Xander Bogaerts getting some ownership today as well. Tim Anderson, we just talked about the White Sox a little bit. Shortstop is a position that I want to play Seager as much as possible. I wish there was better positions today, or just not good pitchers pitching in the St. Louis game, because that's the game that you kind of want to target bats. Atlanta and St. Louis have some of the best hitting conditions on the slate. So if it was somebody else, maybe I'd look at Didi and Swanson, but I'm not going there. Like I said, Scherzer just hasn't allowed any power to righties. So I want to play Corey Seager. I want to play Bobby Witt. And I think if you want to chase like a home run with Javi Baez, that's solid. Is there any cheap shortstops that you like?
I do like Xander, but Xander isn't cheap. Not particularly. You've got some cheap like Machine. He's facing Howard at 2,300. I'm pretty sure he's. Oh no, Stevie. God, I mentioned this last night. I'm tripping here, man. I'm tripping. I'm slipping. I'm falling. I can't get up. Do my best
Gotta bump
DMX
it up.
impression. We gotta pump this up. Brandon Crawford, my dude, 2,300. I can't believe I slipped on that one, Stevie. Brandon Crawford. I talked about him last night. Like, he's too cheap, man. I know it's Merrill Kelly, but at 2,300, Brandon Crawford, he's in play big time. Big time.
Yeah, I mean, I think CJ Abrams is, another guy, almost minimum salary. Garrett Hampson, both the core shortstops are in play. I mean, I don't love the hitting conditions in San Francisco. It's already kind of a pitcher's ballpark, and the weather's not necessarily great. So worry about that a little bit, but yeah.
Well, listen, Stevie, let me give the people some information, because so what happens is you give out a play, they don't like it, and I don't really care. But what I want to say is, look, man, Brandon Crawford has been fine. K rate's still like low 20%, and Merrill Kelly isn't some big strikeout pitcher, and so I think Crawford at 2,300. I mean, I think he's an easy play on this slate if you're trying to get different, or you just got some low salary left and you need somebody to plug in. If you look at his game log, Stevie, you see very little zeros in this game log. And so I know a lot of times we want upside and we want home runs in every play. You're not going to get home runs in every play. I want guys that are making contact, that are getting fantasy points. And by golly, if just pull it up, he's not going to have 20 every game. No, nobody is. But there are very little zeros in the Brandon Crawford box score for this season. At 2,300, I will absolutely take the fantasy points.
Someone in chat, who was it? Herbert Good said, Kirk, let's get Chop's BVP special play of the day. Can I give out my BVP special play of the day before we go to outfield? It's Jose Ramirez. Who someone else that has really good BVP today is Brandon Crawford. So there you go. Yeah. I know Will didn't even look that up. I just think it's funny that
Watch out.
He's 9 for 26 against Merrill Kelly, so hitting almost 350. There you go. Let's talk some outfield. Obviously, outfield is a position that we don't typically see like massive chalk on really anybody, but I think ownership will move a little bit today, as like Trent Grisham was projected to be like 30% owned, but he's hitting 7th instead of leadoff today. So I think that ownership will go down a little bit. I think, who knows? I think Mazzara is going to be the chalk outfield play today. He is 2K and he's hitting 3rd against Urena in Coors. Talk to me here about outfield.
Yeah, a lot of good outfield plays. I'm going to try to avoid the Coors plays for now, just because I think we all just kind of know that you should play those guys. JD Martinez is 4,100 today, folks. And I think Boston's going overlooked. I think that's very cheap. Eloy Jimenez is 3,800 against Cal Quantrill. I think that's very cheap. You've got Cole Calhoun here at 3,600 in the 7-hole against Martinez. I love it. Did I mention Stephen Kwan, Steve, at 3,400? I'm not sure if I did, but I like him a whole lot today against Lance Lynn, a guy that should be able to get on base here. And those are some of my favorites. I really wish, Stevie, that Gavin Sheets, Stevie, 5-hole, 2,800. Did we mention the White Sox? Yes, we did. These are some really, really good outfield plays that are off the beaten path because of the Coors ownership pile up. Love these guys. Love a lot of these plays.
Yeah, I had Taylor in one of my lineups, and just pivoted from Taylor to Sheets. So I like that Gavin Sheets call. I think he's a cheap potential home run in the outfield. But yeah, I mean, outfield overall is pretty loaded. I mean, there's a ton of good options. You have Grossman, who's cheap, going up against Lynch, batting. I think Grossman's in leadoff, and he's always been way better from the right side of the plate than the left side. But Will, I need some pump it up music because I got to pump it up under 4K home run for everyone today.
Oh man. Oh.
All right. My under 4K home run call of the day is Cole Calhoun going up against Martinez. Listen, we've already said it a bunch. We like Texas, but Cole Calhoun has absolutely smashed sinkers throughout his career. Martinez has thrown 68% sinkers to lefties since he got called up, and he's been pitching in the bigs. So I love Cole Calhoun today. He's my home run call of the day. You can get him in sports books at like 480 to hit a home run. So there you go, Will. Yeah, I really like Cole Calhoun, and Corey Seager has smashed sinkers as well. So is Garcia and Simeon. So I think it's going to be a very short outing for Martinez. And there you go. Wait, Grant had Cole Calhoun as a turd bomb. How did I miss that? There you go. Look at that. Me and Grant on the same page. Why is Grant still working? Should be working. The dude's on like honeymoon or something, isn't he?
Something like that.
Yeah, go get on your. He did have him as a turd bomb. There you go. Look, me and Grant, same page. He got it at 420 though. You could have gotten it a little bit higher. Yeah, stealing content. Yep, there you go. I stole content from Grant. Listen, we'll talk stacks and stuff here. Some home run calls. We got crunch time coming up after us. I don't even know who's on the show today. I'm so good. Yeah, I know he's honeymooning with Dean. Like, what the F? Why is he working? Like, he should be having mimosas with Dean. So what's funny, Will, the first time I ever met Grant was at a Fantasy Aces live final.
Oh, yeah. That was the one on the yacht, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he was carrying around a bottle of Fireball, and he went to the bar that we were all hanging out at and bought the whole bottle. And like, it was just, if that doesn't sum up Grant, I don't know what does. So all right, we're gonna steal some more content. Dean likes to throw out a stack, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. We'll talk some stacks here, and if you have more thoughts than 1 to 5, we have plenty of time today. We got 20 or so minutes before crunch time comes on. I guess TJ is doing crunch time because he said it's me. I probably should know, but yeah, I don't. Oh, I do know who's doing crunch time. Just kidding. It's Luch, it's Cheese, and it's TJ. We got Dean off, and we have Roth off on a fishing boat doing forecasting. So today is a good day. It's definitely Monday. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Talk to me here. What would you rank the Chicago White Sox today?
Give me a 4 on the White Sox.
I like that. I'd probably put the middle road 3. If you consider ownership, that's solid. We have a special request to do Oakland next. Oakland 1 to 5 for Alex.
Give me 2.
I think they're in a really interesting hedge stack, but that's all I got today for them. So I probably put them as a 2 as well. I think they're a great hedge stack. Howard is one of my favorite pitchers today. I'm waiting, and they just don't have a ton of power. So he has given up a ton of hard contact. I mean, when we're looking at as a whole, he has given up a ton of hard contact. So it's just, I mean, who is he going to give up hard contact to? There's only one hitter in the lineup with a hard hit rate over 40%, and he only has 19 plate appearances. So it's tough to think that's going to happen. 1 to 5, give me the Philadelphia Phillies today.
2.
Yeah, I don't see myself full stacking Philly. I could see a potential mini stack for them, but that's really it. I don't even want to do cores because I feel like that's cheating. Give me Kansas City.
3.
Yeah, I think I go. If you would have asked me before the lineup came out, I would have said like 4. I think I'm at 3 with this lineup. It's not my favorite lineup for them. Yeah, Texas.
5.
I like that, man. I like Texas a lot today.
Yeah,
They're
I'm into
they're
the Rangers for sure.
they're on 2 of my 3 stacks. So before we do the next stack, we did have a question in chat. We're gonna keep answering questions in chat. If you're over there on YouTube and you want a question answered, just post it, and I'm paying attention. We have Bello or Howard as DKSP2 today. Who do you like?
I'm gonna go with Bello because I think his leash may be a little bit longer today. We'll see. So I'm gonna side with Bello here.
I think I lean Bello as well. Yeah, I think I lean Bello as well. Someone wants us to. I mean, we just did Kansas City, right? Like, there's a question on thoughts on Kansas City. I mean, we just both said they're like a 3 out of 5. I mean, I like the spot overall. You know, it doesn't get much better spots. What are your thoughts on Kansas City as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I like them. I think they're perfectly fine.
Yeah, this guy, massive hard hit rate, massive fly ball rates. So, yeah, there you go. Man, we're getting some questions. I like questions. Questions are fun. Alfaro or Heim stacks with both Texas and San Diego?
Alfaro.
I mean, I think if you want to play the ownership game, you go Heim in that one. But I think they're both good options, so it doesn't bother me. If I want to fade Machado to get Ramirez, who is the 4th man in my Padres stack?
Fading Machado to get Ramirez. Give me. I wish I knew who you already had, but I think it would be Trent Grisham in the 7 hole, 2,900.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably say if you're going to fade Machado, you don't have to worry about ownership as much because he's going to be the chalkiest one. But maybe CJ Abrams.
Yeah, he's not getting any ownership. I mean, which is weird. I mean, Trent Grisham's getting 32%. I think that's because maybe we thought he was going to be leading off. But even still, in the 7 hole, we've got him projected at 32 and CJ at 7. So absolutely, I mean, you could fade Grisham and Manny if you're doing that, and just take Abrams for sure. I love that call, Stevie. That's a really good call.
Yeah, I like Abrams because, I mean, then you're not playing Seager either. So, or maybe you are if you're playing on FanDuel because it was a 4-4 question. Thoughts on Lynch after seeing Keller torch Detroit?
Well, listen, Keller was fantastic today. But I don't. The K rates against righties is drastically different for this team. Supposedly Lynch doesn't have a pitch count, but I'm not as comfortable today as I was yesterday, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Lynch. I think that I'd rather go down to Bello or Howard personally, but I think Lynch is okay. There's a question here. Did we get into Alex Cobb? Do you have thoughts on Alex Cobb here?
My thoughts are he's probably going to be fine. As I mentioned last night, I'm just really not sure what the Giants are planning on doing with him. K rate's fine, xFIP is fine, walk rate is fine. Will pick up some strikeouts, but he jumped in pitch count here, Stevie. Went from in the 60s to 90, 100 pitches. It's just, I'm really not sure what they're going to do. And so as a result, I think I can find better plays than Alex Cobb.
I mean, the pitching conditions are good. My biggest concern with Cobb is there's not a ton of strikeouts in this lineup. They actually have some power. The lineups come out since we talked about Alex Cobb. Yeah, I mean, I don't love Alex Cobb today, but I think he's a viable option if you're playing over 5 teams and you want to be different.
Yeah.
Kansas City, you can't play the number 3, 4, or 5 hitter on the same team on DK. I mean, that is why I said before the lineup came out, I would probably rank them as like a 4 out of 5. But with the lineup that's come out, it's probably a 3 out of 5 for me. That definitely has hurt that lineup. Question from Eric: no Giants love today.
Yeah, not particularly. I mean, they probably grade as a 3 for me. 2 to 3.
Yeah, this game in Arizona would be way different for me. I'd have a lot more interest in the Giants. They'd be on the road. They'd get that guaranteed 9th inning. My biggest issue is they like to pinch hit, and just you look at that bullpen, and there's so many lefties in that bullpen that worries me about the Giants. And then the hitting conditions are the worst hitting conditions on the slate. The ballpark's already not very hitter friendly. So for me, I'm out on the Giants. I'm out on the Giants today. Yes. Give me 3 home run calls. We keep getting, I think, like 3 or 4 people have asked us for 3 home run calls. So give me 3 home run calls. We're cruising along. We got about 10 more minutes. So if you guys have questions, throw them in YouTube. Make sure you're hitting the like button over there. TJ said he'll give out some home run bombs at 100 likes. We're way cooler than TJ because we don't need 100 likes to give out some home runs. So Will, give me 3 guys you like to go yard today.
Actually, going to start with my favorite from the Coors game. That's Brendan Rodgers. Called this one last night. That's Corey Seager. And then last but not least, man, give me JD Martinez against Josh Fleming.
All right. I like that. I already said Cole Calhoun. I like Cole Calhoun a lot today. I think this is a great spot for him to go yard. I like Bobby Witt Jr. to hit a home run today. I think he's an excellent pivot off of Corey Seager. And then I got to go Jose Ramirez, man. I love the spot for him. I'm not even going to try to hide it. I put him as my top overall hitter in the expert survey today. So yeah, I mean, I'll take the chalky Jose Ramirez to go yard today. I like the spot a lot for him. All right, FanDuel question. The show right after is sponsored by FanDuel. So, FanDuel GPP, can you tell me why I should get off Scherzer? I'm only playing about 20 lineups. I'm not going to tell you why. I don't think you should.
Yeah, I don't think you should get off Scherzer at all. So just keep plugging along with Scherzer. I think you'll be good.
So, I mean, okay, so if you're building 20 lineups on FanDuel, I think you can potentially play a little bit of Max Fried as a pivot. Because you look at Fried, and I think Fried can get you 40 plus FanDuel points. And if Scherzer's off a little bit or doesn't go as deep into the game as we kind of are expecting, it could work out. Or you could go Nola and hope that Nola has a good game. But I mean, to give you an idea of where I'm at on Max Scherzer today, I built 3 teams on DraftKings. He's on all 3. I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm over on Scherzer. I absolutely love this spot for him today. So, yeah, I'm not doing that. When Eric said in chat, I used to be a Cano fan, and he's going to home run today. Yeah, I did used to like playing Robinson Cano. I don't know if I was ever a fan of Robinson Cano, especially because I'm a Red Sox fan and he played for the Yankees. But Robinson Cano has made me plenty of money over the years. So, I mean, maybe I'm a fan in that aspect, but listen, Robbie Cano is just, he's just having, I mean, what is this, second or third, fourth team this year? Like,
yeah.
Like, how bad is it? Let's see. How bad is Robinson? Do you want to guess what Robinson Cano's numbers are this year? Do you have it pulled up in front of you?
I do not, but I can pull them, Stevie.
No, I have them up in front of me. How many home runs do you think he has in 77 plate appearances this year?
Let's go 1.
He does only have 1 home run. There you go. 77 plate appearances. What do you think his WRC plus is?
25.
It's 8.
I like this game.
All right. Last but not least, I know it's the revenge game, and people love revenge games. What do you think Robinson Cano, his hard hit rate is this year? And I'll give you a hint. His career, 17 seasons, his career average at hard hit rate is 38%.
Yeah, I was going to go with 18, 20, 22. Let's go 22.
28%.
Okay.
So there you go. Yeah, his numbers just, I mean, if you look at like his career numbers, he really had like a prime, and it really is just kind of dipped after that prime. So
yeah,
he made a ton of money, and good for him. What was it, like 2021? He had to give up like the last 2 years or something. So yeah, there you go. Yeah. Maybe Robinson Cano scores 2 fantasy points tonight. Maybe he walks. Let's really quickly, before we turn it over to crunch time, we've had a ton of fun on the show. Appreciate everyone hanging out on YouTube. A lot of people chatting over there today. It's always fun when we can interact with YouTube and have fun talking here. Let's just really quickly go back to pitcher. Rank your top 3 pitchers today.
Scherzer. Bello. Top 3 is tough because I'm really mostly invested in Scherzer. So I guess Scherzer, Bello, Aaron Nola.
It's the exact same that I have today.
Yeah.
That's the exact same I have today. I think Spencer Howard's probably a close 4th. I could definitely see, using the value. We have a good question. We talked about this earlier on the show. If you're just tuning in, appreciate you hopping on, watching the show with us. Where is the best leverage on today? It's hard getting off course. Is it just leaving cash on the table? I think the answer to that question is yes. I think leaving salary on the table today, especially on DraftKings, is where you can gain leverage. I mean, we see the implied team totals. We see the matchups for San Diego and Colorado. We got a sinker baller in Minaya. We have Jose Arena, who, I mean, this guy is just not good. 14% K since the start of last season. Just not good at all. So, yeah, I mean, I like the idea of leaving $1,000, $2,000 on the table. People are so in that basketball mind of, I got to spend every dollar, but I think you can leave money on the table to gain some leverage today.
Yep. I like it for sure. I mean, today is probably, Stevie, one of the most perfect days to leave money on the table. Even if you don't believe in Bello, Stevie, and you say, well, you know what? I don't quite believe in Bello. I'm just going to run Scherzer and Nola. You can still leave money on the table, even with that lineup, because there's so many cheap bats all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, even you can build a Scherzer Nola lineup that you really like and leave money on the table. I mean, that's
all with the Coors bats. That's with the Coors bats.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how soft. it's just a really soft pricing slate, and we've seen that a lot this year. And I mean, when Coors hits, it hits hard. So yeah, I mean, you could gain leverage, I think, with Texas tonight. I think they're in a fantastic spot. They're one of my favorite pivots. I think the White Sox are a potential leverage place. I could see them having a big game off of Cal Quantrill as well. So yeah,
Stevie,
I mean,
let me plug this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we have the chat fired up about Robinson Cano. I mean, this is the most Robinson Cano has been talked about in a year. See, Dean's never gonna leave again.
So check this out. I have Max Scherzer and Aaron Nola in lineup. I have 4 bats from San Diego. I would like for you to guess what my average salary is left over for me to plug in the other 4 bats.
4,200.
4,750. That's with Scherzer and Nola in my lineup, who are probably, in terms of strikeout upside, have the most, but Nola just happens to be in a bad position because he's facing St. Louis. I have $4,700 left. It's an exciting time to be alive for DraftKings tonight, folks.
I mean, yeah, we're getting some home run calls against Lance Lynn. I don't hate that as well. I think that Naylor is someone that I really like. That person, I forget who it was. Nolan Jones. Pistol Pete said Nolan Jones is going yard against Lynn tonight. He had his first home run over the weekend, didn't he? Pretty sure he had his first home run over the weekend.
Probably so.
Yeah. You should pay attention more on the weekends. Well, gosh. Talking to the person that never pays attention on the weekends. He did hit his first home run over the season. Like, if you play Nolan Jones in your Cleveland stack over Jose Ramirez, like, you could build whatever lineup you want after that.
Yeah.
If Robinson Cano's homers, I will laugh because it's what is happening in this chat. No one around me will get it. If I get that like home run alert today for Robinson Cano hitting a home run, I don't even know what I will think.
Yeah, I hope not. Just walk him if you have to, Scherzer. Just don't give him a home run.
I finally did it, Will. I finally did it on Underdog. I've been doing best balls for football, and I finally did it. I don't know if you can see my screen. Let's see. Can you see it?
Oh, watch out!
I finally did it.
Watch out!
I've been trying to do it, and I did it in like the Scott Fishbowl, the Scott Fishbowl satellite for charity one. So I finally got Mahomes and Kelsey on a stack on Underdog, and of course it's not on one of like the what's it called, the Doggy Bowl or whatever. Can't think of the name of it now. The puppy. So have you been digging into best ball? I know we got Spike Week going, and Eric's doing a great job over there, and there's so much going on Spike Week, but I am like this past weekend getting going with the Scott Fishbowl has gotten me into doing best balls again.
Yeah, I haven't done a best ball yet, but I can assure you I will be investing in best balls this season. It's just a ton of fun, man. I mean, it's I've won enough of my season-long league now to where I need a new challenge.
I just enjoy it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah, so again, I know if you're just tuning into the show, we talked about it earlier, but Spike Week has been absolutely crushing best ball. They have a ton of new content tools over there for, best balls for really any sport. So if you haven't checked them out, do it, man. When does Cheese come on? Who's that Cheese guy? People keep asking, where's Cheese? I don't know who's Cheese going to like. Matt Carpenter's not on the slate today. Like, what's he going to do? Like, Matt Carpenter is crushing though. He has been crushing.
Oh,
We did have a question. Who's your FanDuel overall top pitcher today?
Max Scherzer.
Yeah. Also, we had a DK question. Do you like JD Martinez or Calhoun with your San Diego stack?
That's a tough one, man. Let's alternate. I'm gonna go JD though. I'm gonna go JD.
Well, because you knew I was gonna say Cole Calhoun, and you wanted us to be like 100%. So we got the crunch time. We got what was it? Cheese. We got TJ. We got Luch. Luch is repping the scores and odds hat. We got Dave looking happy as possible because we have cores, and TJ is super happy because he probably just watched a Marvel movie.
I saw Thor: Love and Thunder the other day, but no, today's been filled with wedding duties.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is so much fun.
Filled, he says, folks.
Fun filled.
Do you remember those days, Cheese, where you had to like plan that?
We had a really short engagement, which was fantastic and highly recommended.
There you go. Mine was not. So, Luch, what's happening, my friend?
What's going on? I'm just thankful that, knock on wood, the days that I fill in for Roth, there seems to be no weather issues because I can't put that hat on. That's one hat I can't wear is weather. Looks like we it's in our favor tonight, fellas. Not a lot of complications. It doesn't look some good hitting conditions. That's what it's looking like. But the most important question I have for Cheese is, you don't have a 7-Eleven in the state of Alabama?
I know. How messed up is that? Like when I moved here, I mean, I've been there like 20 years. I assumed 7-Eleven was literally everywhere. And like I couldn't find one here. I was like, there must be one somewhere. I don't see it. There's not one. And I looked it up today because these are the things I look up. It's 11 states with no 7-Elevens. And then, of course, a lot of states, it's like on every corner, as it should be. So I pretty much got to go to Florida to get a Slurpee.
Yeah, well, Florida welcomes you.
Yeah, I'll come down there for a Slurpee for sure.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get out of here. Me and Chief had a ton of fun. I appreciate everyone hanging out. We're gonna hand it over to the FanDuel crunch time. Before I go, Cheese, this is directly to you. If you had to say out of 1 to 10, do you think Robinson Cano hits a home run tonight?
I would put it at like a 0.5.
See, he's on the same page. You guys enjoy our Robinson Cano YouTube chat today. Thanks everybody for watching. Luch, it's all you, man.
Thanks, fellas. And TJ, I don't get out much, so they got 7-Elevens in Canada or no?
Oh yeah, lots of 7-Elevens here.
Okay, yeah, I'm sheltered.
Is it so with the exchange rate? It's still 7-Eleven. It's not like 8.12 or something.
6.9 actually.
Okay, I don't know which way it goes on.
Listen.
7.
You guys should have known I was going to hang around for
this.
Chief's
Chief's still here.
I can't let my boy Luch pop on and not let the people know at the exchange point that Food for Thought is back, baby. It's back. The barbershop pod of the century is back, and we've got a special guest.
Pod of the
century.
We've
got a special guest tonight that will be stopping by. Ladies and gentlemen.
We actually have two. Did you see my updated messages?
No, I know we have two, but one is actually here. So I wanted to bring that up. TJ from Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Haskell Heights own. If that's a Coming to America reference. But TJ is going to be on the pod. Should be a ton of fun. Sorry, Cheese. I just could not let the exchange go. Knowing my boy.
No, that's good. When you started talking, I was glad you said TJ, not me, because
and not the
little ambush action on you. Guess what? Cheese, you're coming on Food for Thought today.
Yeah, Agents of Fandom will be in the building. And
you see what I did here? I'm playing chess because you're a Panthers fan and TJ's a Saints fan. So we're talking about the NFC South.
The real Agents
is gonna be fun.
For NFL will be here.
I can just sit
I'm gonna
back.
click my X button, get out of the way. You'll hear from me tonight. I'm out. Cheese, good to see you. Luch, see you tonight. TJ, see you tonight. We got more special guests as well, but didn't want to plug the pod. I waited because I knew you were hosting this show. I was very tight-lipped here. I mean, I mentioned nothing. I mean nothing about the secret sauce that was going to be happening tonight. I'm going to immediately hit my X button right now.
He's
That's,
already
a lot of excitement.
fired up. Yeah, this could be one of those shows where I can just mute my mic and enjoy my Slurpee and let Chief go on.
And I just want to say I'm as excited about it as Chief is. It's just we have different ways of showing our excitement.
Are you a good poker player? Do you play poker? I feel like you have an excellent.
I mean, I have a great poker face, but I don't know what the cards mean. So no.
Well, the cards are on the table tonight, no pun intended. Max Scherzer is back. I mean, hell of a game he had, coming off the IL. I mean, super just otherworldly efficient. He didn't crack 80 pitches, right? But he had 11 Ks.
Yeah, he was at 79, which given how important this game is, I think he's no leash. I mean, he can go 110 if they need him to. Like, I think there's no leash.
Yeah. You know what? I just think he's the clear-cut option, and obviously projected ownership is trending that way. TJ, are your thoughts kind of in the same boat there?
I'm playing one lineup tonight, but even if I was running 150, I think I'd have Scherzer on all of them today.
Wow. Pretty high endorsement there. Welcome officially to Crunch Time, presented by Fanduel here. And we will start the conversation on the Fanduel side of things. Drop your questions in the YouTube chat, and I promise this show I will have an eye on the Discord channel as well, because sometimes I have 35 windows open and I forget where I am. Get lost in my own office sometimes. It's just how it works. But yeah, as we mentioned, doesn't seem like there are any weather issues. A lot of hot weather across the country, a lot of good hitting environment there for sure. But let's talk about FanDuel first. And
specifically, I think people should hit the like button, not just because we're only 8 likes away from our first Spidey bomb, 58 from our second, but more importantly, hit the like button for the foresight that RG has in this free show to allow Roth to take days off when we don't have weather.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even a poor man's Roth. He just does an immaculate job on this show. But I can talk some baseball, and on FanDuel, it looks like, we're not seeing Scherzer north of 25% in our most recent projection run. It looks like, according to the BatX projections anyway. Do you think that ownership's accurate? I mean, I just imagine Scherzer would be coming in a little higher and higher stakes stuff. Cheese, what are your thoughts on Scherzer and that?
A little bit in higher stakes. I might sneeze. I don't know why, but basically, like, FanDuel's pricing is really good today. Like, and we'll get to the huge difference between FanDuel and DK pricing and how soft they are. Like, you're actually kind of limited on what you can do with Scherzer. And so I think he probably gets held around 25 to 30%. Like, even just the difference going down from him to Nola gets you like that extra bat that you really want. So I do think we're probably looking at something like 30 Scherzer, 20 Nola.
And that sounds right. And that's kind of rare for FanDuel, right? Usually it's the build mostly whatever you want site for the most part here, but smaller slate, and you got a bunch of high team totals and cores.
They have so many bats over, like, from like 36 up to like 4,400. Like, they have more 4K bats than usual, and really almost none of the good stuff is under 3K. So it's just not as easy as I would have thought it would be to play Scherzer.
Yeah, TJ, your thoughts on lineup constructions with Scherzer? Is going down to Nola, that extra wiggle room, does that seem to have helped you out at all?
I'm sticking with Scherzer up top, and kind of my thought process is there's a cup. I'm more willing to go with a vomit stack today, because there's sometimes I look at Coors and it's when it's picking up a lot of ownership and I think I want to fade it today. But to me, like, San Diego is just so far and away the top option today that I don't have any interest in fading them. And I'm even okay to mix in some Oakland bats with them and things like that today to save some salary to make it work.
The two other direct, like, high-end pivots, Cheese, are both squaring off against two pretty low strikeout teams in St. Louis and the New York Mets. Gun to head, and I'm sure it's $1 million musing, and I only skimmed through it, and I caught your Slurpee reference. Who's your favorite pivot for large field stuff?
I mean, I'm very on board with Nola. I think that Fried is pretty much got to just be a DK thing for me. Like, him being more expensive than Nola, I'm just not on board with that. I think the bigger question is on FanDuel, like, is it worth it to play a mid-tier guy? Like, I think Alex Cobb would be the popular mid-tier guy, or going all the way down to Bello. or Bayo as it's pronounced, but I like Bello because it sounds like what the Minions would say. That's almost, it's funny, like that's more money than you need. And yet you can still spend it all with a 6K pitcher, which isn't always the case on FanDuel. So I am playing him.
Alex Cobb, I mean, if you play DFS regularly, you know the story is is he the official unluckiest pitcher in baseball this season? The xFIP's 3.2. Like,
yeah, although it started like the last few starts, like he gave us some runs last time, but it has started correcting. Like his last 4 starts, it's been a little more reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, in the Arizona lineup, but I'm looking at Plate IQ, they don't K a ton. You know, it's not egregious. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, like, sub 9K range? I will ask TJ momentarily when he gets. Oh, there we go. I was wondering what was happening there. It's a cat.
The cat probably knows what to do with Alex Cobb. I just don't love it.
The cat likes Bayo better than Cobb. The cat is
I'm
pretty firm on Scherzer today. But if we're pivoting off of Scherzer, then the cat would like to go all the way down to Bayo, spend up for your Coors Bats, mix in some J-Ram in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, the tough cup of coffee off the rip for the Boston kid. Has stuff in the minors. I mean, he has, immense strikeout upside. And Tampa Bay has been striking out quite a bit recently. Wander Franco, unfortunately, I saw the update before the show. Looks like he's going to miss, maybe 2 months or something like that. So
this Tampa lineup is just nonsensical nonsense. It's really pretty bad.
Man, see, that's why we have you. You say the words that I don't understand, but they sound spectacular. And I totally agree. Like, it's just not a good lineup. So, it's just interesting on FanDuel when you're talking about raw points and, if you get 40 out of him, you might be ecstatic. But when you have the upside of Scherzer, Nola, and even Max Fried in an efficient game, it's got to scare you a little bit to use them on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's what you're trying to figure out. If like Scherzer put up 55 in 80 pitches last game, if he puts up 65, you're not winning with Bayo, regardless of anything. So you're really like playing for, do you think one of these aces gives you that 60-point FanDuel game? If they do, you just have to play them. I think that's what TJ's saying, where he's just going to play Scherzer. Because if he gives you that 60, you're going to have it.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. And drop your questions in the chat. I guess we can move around to some bats, and we can go kind of around the horn, or whatever they call it, around the diamond. You don't need a catcher on FanDuel, but I'm sure there's a couple in decent hitting spots here. We'll talk about catcher and first base. We'll start with FanDuel, and we will slide in some DraftKings as well. Obviously there's a Coors slate, right? I mean, CJ Cron, against Manaea, despite Manaea being a good pitcher, carrying some ownership here. Connor Joe's first base eligible. I see some expert conviction tags on Seth Brown, Gavin Sheets, Luke Voigt against Urena at Coors. Man, some options here. I'll start with you, Cheese. What's sticking out to you at first base?
The slate is so interesting in that pretty much every position is going to be a Coors guy that kind of projects the best, and certainly for the salary. And then we have a bunch of like the really elite hitters are in really tough matchups, which means you're getting superstar bats at no ownership because of the matchup, like Pete Alonso, like Rhys Hoskins, like Matt Olson, for example. Even Jose Abreu, who's not going against a really tough pitcher, is overlooked. I don't love any of these Coors bats outside of stacks. I really want to be playing guys like Hoskins and Alonso, even Goldschmidt against Nola and Olsen against Scherzer. Honestly, like spend up to be different with really great hitters. But then on FanDuel, if you're doing the Scherzer thing, then you might need a Seth Brown or Gavin Sheets or Brandon Belt, and I'm also fine with those guys.
Yeah, TJ, I didn't expect Jose Abreu to be the highest priced first baseman on DraftKings when I opened up Lineup HQ today. I kind of like picking on Quantrill as well if I'm getting off Coors. I'm just not a believer in some of these low K Cleveland pitchers outside of Bieber. I feel like they're all kind of the same guys who don't strike anybody out, don't have great like underlying metrics, but never seem to get rocked. Talk to me about first base here. What do you like away from Coors, if anything?
So of the Coors options, my favorite one is Voit. If you're torn between him and Hosmer, personally, I'd way rather just get Voit, even though he's a little bit higher owned. Some of my favorite salary saving options on the slate are here at first base, but they're also guys who are outfield eligible. So we have enough likes for our first Spidey Bomb. And our first Spidey Bomb is one of those guys, Josh Naylor. He's somebody I like quite a bit. That's been the Cleveland Coors has been a bit of a dilemma for me, especially at third base, which we'll get to. But Josh Naylor is one of my favorite plays on the slate. I actually like playing him a bit better at outfield because, like I said, I like Voit. And then Gavin Sheets and Seth Brown are two of my favorite salary saving options as well. If you're not playing Scherzer, I know there's some people in chat talking about they want to let it rip on Atlanta because of Scherzer's ownership and not going to Atlanta. I have no interest in an Atlanta stack, but Matt Olson, if I'm not playing Scherzer, is my favorite one-off from that team.
I just can't get behind the Scherzer leverage bats calls. I mean, the guy came off the IL, hit his highest fastball velocity of the year. Swinging strike stuff was really good. He even got bit by a dog while he was on the shelf, right? So, I mean, he looked spectacular. It's just, I understand it, but I'm not willing to really go to bat against Scherzer tonight.
Max Scherzer is one of those guys that pain makes him better. I'm pretty sure that's a projection in the bat. And that like if he gets blood on his jersey, on his socks, anything like that, his projection and his strikeout rate actually go up.
Yeah, Statcast has that data now, and they agree.
I feel like him and like Jimmy Butler would share the same trait. Like if this was like a 2K, like if it was a video game, it's like the toughness trait. Get bit by a dog, increase velocity by 2 points. It's fine.
I will say I have that trait too. My most points ever in a basketball game was when I got a concussion and broke my orbital bone.
Did you shoot at the right basket? Like, did you know?
I did. It was my only 40+ point game in my career.
Wow, that's impressive. 40 in a game is no joke, TJ.
It was 44. It was a good one.
Cool. Good to know. Second base.
I've been telling you guys the RG basketball game is really the only reason why I'm here.
That's it.
Yeah, that's I mean, not the only reason. That's the top reason though. Like taking down Roth in a game of 1-on-1 and playing at the RG basketball game, that's top tier.
We'll have more time for shenanigans tonight, but like, what do you label your odds as being the top scorer in a game of RotoGrinders basketball? Are you confident? Like, are we talking? We're not talking plus money, right?
Minus 200.
I mean, those are some pretty lofty expectations. I mean, I don't know. We got some ballers. I mean, the Chief used to play some ball back in his day. We'll have to see.
I'm
setting you guys up to go at it tonight.
I have never been as good as Andy Means was, but only being 29, I feel bodes well for me here.
Don't fire up Meansy, man. He'll dust them off, and I mean, the guy played for Duke. When is the RG basketball game? I'll work TJ into the ground and hoops as the showboat game. I love it, man. We're gonna definitely have to have some competition when the time comes. Anyway, speaking of things that make you go, ugh, I'm seeing a projected ownership of 36.5 for Jake Cronenworth on FanDuel, and I totally understand why, but that is such a high number, Cheese. He's obviously like the cash game play, I'm sure, at the position, but what else do you do here at second base?
Yeah, that's terrible. I have zero Cronenworth outside of stacks. I mean, you're allowed to do, but I like Trevor Story as the pivot. I like Semien, Brendan Rodgers. I don't know where the Colorado side is going to fall. I do think Rodgers will be one of the more popular Rockies, and I prefer Story over him. I also have a little Kettle Marte. That's everything.
All right, that's fair. A big ownership number there on FanDuel. Yeah, both sites really. I mean, he's pushing 30% on DK as well. So I'll throw it over to you, TJ.
Brendan Rodgers and Marcus Semien are going to be my two favorite options outside Cronenworth. Jose Iglesias, I don't mind. Trevor Story is nice and cheap on FanDuel here. Jimenez in a Cleveland stack, I think you can do, but other than that, that's mostly it for me.
Yeah, I can get behind the let's attack Lance Lynn with some lefties, a little bit more. Between Jimenez and Naylor and Ramirez, I kind of like them as a little bit of a mini stack. But yeah, I mean, kind of ugly outside of that position. Not a lot to really work with here. Let's go on over to third base. Some usual suspects, carrying the ownership here. Obviously, Machado and Coors. I mean, what else do you have to say? Jose Ramirez, one of those switch hitting lefties against Lance Lynn. A lot of our experts seem to like him. I see a blue blip there as well, Cheese. So talk to me about Jose Ramirez and third base.
I mean, this is a two-player position. It's probably the two best players on the slate, Ramirez, Machado.
If you can choose one, who are you picking?
Definitely Ramirez. Not even kind of close. Machado's fantastic anywhere, but and I don't think the ownership difference is going to be that big on FanDuel, where you can play both, and I think you should play both if you can. And then if you add in the fact that super cheap Yohan Moncada will probably take up the rest of the ownership, if you want to goof around with something else, you're going to be by yourself. I think Nolan Jones is very interesting, just to be different. But really, this is where I think you can eat chalk with one of or both of Ramirez, Machado. I go Ramirez first, Machado second.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear cut. If you're one of those Braves truthers for tonight, you got to play Austin Riley if you're going to. I mean, we got him at 1% for a guy that could break a slate. I mean, if you are attacking Scherzer, and I don't think any of us here are endorsing that, at a two-player position, which was kind of, said pretty well, Riley's got to be in that Atlanta stack if that's what you're doing. TJ, anything else to piggyback off those thoughts?
Nolan Jones is my one sneaky guy, so taking it to short, Corey Seager is, I think, the top option up top. I mentioned Jimenez at second down low. I don't mind in a Cleveland stack, but Josh Smith and Corey Seager, these two Texas guys, in terms of one-offs, I think those would probably be my top two options there. And then another guy I mentioned at second, Jose Iglesias as well. Tim Anderson is fine, but I do like the Texas guys better.
Yeah, love that ownership on Seager. Cheese, what are your thoughts on shortstop?
I mean, I'm going to like Corey Seager, and I do. I think he's the play.
I had to get it in before Cheese said it to make it look like it was my idea.
It was your idea. I will say on DK, I think I like Bobby Witt better, but he's not there. That game's not on the FanDuel slate, so I'm just going Seager there. I mean, CJ Abrams is cheap, and even batting eighth, that's fine. You can also you have a position difference on the sites with Josh Smith. He's third base on DraftKings, so I just wanted to point that out. So you basically add in Witt and Baez on DraftKings, and you add Josh Smith on FanDuel, and also Story, who I mentioned second. You could play it short, but short's a little deeper than second, so I like leaving them there.
Yeah, Bogart's coming in at no ownership. So Matt Whistler's opening, right? Is that right? Cheese, is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, but and then it'll be Fleming for 2 times through.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're not, getting some more questions about Boston. I mean, Fleming's not terrible. Whistler's been a pretty good reliever for them this year too. If I'm thinking of something off the wall, I don't mind going to Boston because I don't think they're going to carry any ownership. I'm going to say some more words and go into outfield so I can go back and see what kind of questions we're getting here. But in the outfield, I mean, it's no secret that Kyle Schwarber is going to carry some ownership regardless of who the Phillies are playing because he was just mashing the baseball this season. All the way up top, though, on FanDuel, we have Trent Grisham at 25%, which is such a high number for someone named Trent Grisham that plays baseball. And it looks like that ownership number is similar across both sites. I mean, a 2K Nomar Mazara pushing 25% as well. Boy, do I love Coors Field and do I love bad pitchers there. Man, I'm going to need to spike my slushie tonight, Cheese, with this slate. So what are you thinking about these high-owned Padres in the outfield?
I don't like them. I mean, I do. right? I mean, yeah, they're great and they're too cheap. I just ended up not playing that many. They're not good enough to be, I don't know, 30% owned, probably, at least on DK, and 20 to 30 on Fanduel. I would rather spend up. And the problem is, if you're on FanDuel and you're trying to do the Scherzer thing, you can't get all these guys, which is why I pointed out the Bayo play at pitcher, because I really want to play Schwarber and Robert. Honestly, I even want to play Acuna, and I'm going to. JD Martinez I'm playing, and the other spend up I really like is Adolis Garcia. And then two cheap guys that I like better than the Padres are Cole Calhoun and Jock Peterson.
Okay. TJ, talk to me about the outfield here.
Yeah, so I mentioned Naylor earlier at the outfield first base eligibility. I like playing him here in the outfield. And he's one of my favorite options, and I really like Gavin Sheets as well. Gavin Sheets and Naylor are kind of my two favorite one-off options, and I don't mind these other White Sox like Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert for tournaments. If I'm playing Colorado today, I actually like going with the Randall Grichuk to go along with my Brendan Rodgers and stack kind of that middle back half with CJ Cron as opposed to these top guys leading off. I'd rather go Grichuk as opposed to save some salary there as opposed to Blackman or Connor Joe. I really like the Cole Calhoun call as well. If you need to save salary, I think you can go Castellanos or Jock Peterson. But I think in tournaments, I'd rather go just a little bit cheaper and get somebody like Calhoun or Sheets. Yeah. Seth Brown is another guy I like as well.
Yeah, they all seem to match up pretty well. Definitely check out Scores and Odds. We're running a $9.99 for your first month special. And I mean, we're having fun with home run calls there. And we're actually, to no surprise, doing really well. And our guy, Grant Neefer, who just got married, congrats, buddy, by the way, still dropped some of his turd bombs home run calls today. And you could see that on Scores and Odds. You could find one of his picks for free on there. You could also find him posting his free picks on our MLB HR page. And if you're bored and want a good laugh, definitely check out some of the comments on those as well, because they're ridiculous. But Grant's been on fire. We've been doing well collectively. And, Gavin Sheets was the first guy and the only guy that I wrote up as my home run call today. And speaking of not paying attention on the weekend, as Chief and Stevie said before, I had no idea he homered in 2 straight games. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, I guess he's swinging a good stick. I was actually in Bringington, New Jersey, right outside of Atlantic City this weekend, visiting my cousins. So I got away from the keyboard, I guess we could say, for a weekend, and checked out some of those sports books and hit the beach a little bit. But why don't we talk some DK pitching and just, some differences there as well. And if you guys have questions, please drop them in the YouTube chat or in our Discord if you're over there in the live stream channel. Keeping an eye on both of them as well. But of course, on DraftKings, you need 2 pitchers, and things are always a little bit different between both sites. The guys we talked about, and if you're just joining us or joining us late, Max Scherzer is the guy on FanDuel. Cheese does like Aaron Nola, and we can talk about him a little bit more as well. They are very similarly priced on DK. Of course, it's a Coors slate, and there's a lot of expensive bats, so it's a little tough to get them on FanDuel. And of course, outside of the Boston kid, I'm curious what you guys think about value here. So, Cheese, I'll throw it over to you. Of course, you got the same guys on DraftKings up top that we talked about. Give me the lay of the land here for pitchers on DK.
I mean, the big difference in the sites is the San Diego pricing makes it really easy to play Scherzer Nola. Like Scherzer Nola and a San Diego stack is easy chalk. And you got to be careful just doing that in every lineup because it's ridiculous how easy it is to do. My preference is to play one of Scherzer and Nola with Bayo and or even Spencer Howard, and then load up on some of the bats instead. I have a little bit of Alex Cobb and Merrill Kelly in the mid-range, but I like Bayo just as much at 5K. So pretty much Scherzer, Nola, in some lineups where I don't just have Padres stacks as well, like do, like a Tigers or an Oakland or KC stack with some Scherzer Nola. So it's not just all the same San Diego stack as everybody else. And then I'm going down mostly to Bayo with expensive bets.
I like him for a bounce back tonight at 5K against this atrocious Tampa lineup. I know Alex Cobb is sandwiched there in the middle price wise, TJ. I mean, what's the probability in your mind that Bayo outscores Alex Cobb? Is it even worth like taking Alex Cobb shares? I mean, of course the kid could get shelled again, but big difference in price there between those two value options.
Yeah, on DraftKings today, I always kind of like to think about this as if I was running 150, and what I would do today would be 100% Scherzer, and next tier would be Nola, Fried, and Bayo in the 20-ish% range, and then small mixes of Cobb, Kelly, maybe not even Michaelis, because even though kind of like value to ownership wise, he kind of looks pretty good, but he's not somebody who's going to put up a game that's going to break the slate or anything. So I'd mix in some Spencer Howard and some Daniel Lynch in my 150s, but it's Scherzer for me by quite a bit. And then I actually think I like the pay down for my SB2 option more than going Nola up top.
The big actual difference between both main slates is DraftKings gives us the Detroit Kansas City game. And, respectable team totals in that game as well. How gross can we get here? Can you get behind any Daniel Lynch shares or anything? Like, I know this is probably labeled worse than cheap nonsense in your article, Cheese, but we got to talk about this game to some capacity.
Yeah, I mean, Lynch has had a few spike out? That's not a word. Strikeout spikes. Those are words this season. Like, it's been there occasionally. I think he's viable. Like TJ said, if he's doing 150, throw in a couple of Lynch. But to me, he's far enough behind Bayo and certainly Cobb and Kelly that's a pretty much nonsense leftover.
Okay. I got any thoughts? Any Daniel Lynch shares? I know you didn't mention him, but we're on DK now. Is that just should I just stop talking and stop asking you stupid questions, TJ?
No, he's somebody I slid in there in the 150 range. Like, I think it's reasonable to think that like he could outscore Howard, Bayo, Kelly, Cobb. He obviously he doesn't have to outscore the top tier guys, and I think against a crappy Detroit team that's possible. But again, I think that's already enough time spent talking on somebody I'd play in maybe 3 or 4 lineups out of 150.
Thus being said, before we get to some questions, are there any bats in that game you guys are interested for DraftKings? Anybody off the top of your head, just generally speaking?
I love it, actually. The Kansas City side, that top of the lineup, Melendez, Witt, Pasquantino, Dozier. I love it tremendously. And I like Baez and Eric Haas a lot. So, yes.
It's a big difference between sites for offenses.
Yeah.
The lefties.
I think Haas you can play as a one-off, and I really like the Kansas City lefties as well.
Yeah, I mean, hard hits and fly balls to both sides for Kansas City, but it seems like the lefties are in a better spot there. So Melendez leading off. Now there's something I never thought I would see, but of course with Merrifield being out, I guess they had to change it up a little bit. How about Vinny coming up? Vinny is like our Twitter world's favorite MLBer, I think. Hit a home run earlier today, I think. Did I see that correctly?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
so.
He's very legit. I love him tonight and in general.
Cool. We will get to some questions here. Let's see here. Let me scroll up here. Someone acknowledged your Minions reference, Cheese. That's awesome.
Oh.
All right, DKGPPs full stack for Texas. Oh man, there's a lot of numbers in this question. Texas 1 through 5, or would you rather 2, 3, 4 Texas with Machado and Hosmer? So we're going like a full Texas stack, or like a 3-2 with Texas and Machado Hosmer. Any thoughts on that, fellas?
I like a full Texas stack today, but I'd want to get Calhoun in with it as opposed to just going 1 through 5.
Yeah, if you're going to do Texas, just stack Texas. Don't throw Hosmer in there with it.
Okay. Yeah, TJ, I'll throw this one over to you. FanDuel, would you just play Moncada? Here I am butchering words like our beloved Roth, and pray he wakes up from his year-long slumber?
I like paying up at third better, but he's in a good lineup spot, and I like the White Sox, so I don't hate the play now.
Cool. And thank you for all these awesome questions. I just figured we'd get to the questions here. We got like 15 minutes before 7:10. Here's a DK tournament question for you, Cheese. JD or Calhoun with a San Diego stack from D-Rock?
Really like both those guys. I would play JD first.
Okay. Sticking right here for you, Cheese. Favorite DK pitcher for tournaments?
I'll say Nola.
Okay. Here's a 3v3, TJ. Cobb, Hosmer, Machado, or Bayo, Crone, Jose Ramirez?
Second one.
Second one it is.
By a
Scherzer
lot for me.
Chinatown says Scherzer has rabies. Hey, we never got a verification after that dog bite. So,
and I mean, hey, we got almost 400 people watching, only 118 likes, 150 for Spidey Bomb number 2. If we hit 175, Cheese will say something funny and maybe give a home run pick with it.
We could give you the
minion
bomb of the day.
The minion bomb of the day at 175. It is a stone cold fact that the minion bomb here on Crunch Time has never once failed.
That's true.
It's never not succeeded. So second Spidey Bomb at 150 and minion bomb at 175. Hit the like button for some great free content.
We did cover catcher a little bit late here, and we had a question about catcher. So DK wise, Melendez leading off. Is he one of your favorite plays? Jorge Alfaro, decent price also in that Coors game, carrying a lot of ownership here. So TJ, I'll throw it over to you. Like catchers on this slate, who are your priorities?
Yeah, interestingly enough, Melendez and Haas are probably my favorite too. Alfaro, if you're stacking, but I wouldn't want to play him in a one-off.
Cheese, anybody else on your radar at catcher?
Melendez is my favorite. I would say Sean Murphy and Jonah Heim are on the radar, but Melendez, Alfaro, Haas.
Cool.
Same boat. I'd rank it Melendez, Haas, Alfaro, and then the same other two that she's just mentioned.
Cool. All right. Got a kind of a lineup strategy question for you, Cheese. I'll throw it over to you. In 20 lineups, should I play at least one Rocky and one Padres lineup or completely fade them?
If you're doing like a 20 max entry, and I don't really want one Padres lineup, I would just fade it if you fade it. I would probably play a Rockies. Like I don't think you have to fade the Rockies because of ownership. But like I think you should make some sort of stand on San Diego. I wouldn't do like 1 out of 20.
I feel like between the Coors game tonight and having Scherzer, if you're a fairly aggressive multi-enter type of player, you just need to make some kind of stand, like with something, whether it's pitching or the Coors game. Like I know TJ, you alluded to, if you were playing 150, it'd probably be a lock button and just roll with it. And you have to have some kind of an advantage because there's just so much concentrated ownership tonight.
100%. And that's so I'm playing one lineup tonight, and my kind of thought process is I like Scherzer and I like San Diego, so I've made sure to find a way that in my San Diego stacks and within my team, I can find a way to be different than the field.
All right, cool. Let's keep trucking along here. About 7 Eastern here, 10 minutes here. Let's see. TJ, I will stay here with you. FanDuel Cash. Bayo, Machado, Seager, Jose Ramirez, or Scherzer.
No, FanDuel Cash. Sorry, never mind.
Or Scherzer. That should be the Scherzer side, right?
Yes, it's FanDuel Cash with Scherzer. In FanDuel Cash, you should find a way to get Jose Ramirez instead of Moncada. Pay down somewhere else. There's lots of other good spots to save salary. But if you really like that lineup, then yes, you go with the Scherzer one.
Yeah, I agree. Scherzer's a priority for cash. DK single entry Cheese from JMVP. Better one-off, Gerchik or Calhoun?
I would play Calhoun.
Okay. DKGPP, TJ, thoughts on a Boston righty stack against Fleming, who should throw a bulk of the middle innings there?
Not my favorite, but I think it's fine for GPPs.
Cool. NBA DFS has a question, Cheese. Stephen Kwan or Seth Brown for FanDuel Cash?
Quan.
Okay. Cheese. Let's see. Is there any combo besides Max and Nola for DK Cash, or would you just be lighting money on fire?
I think that's the only option in DK Cash.
Okay. FanDuel 3v3 question, TJ. Pollock, Grisham, and Jose Ramirez, or Stephen Kwan, Gavin Sheets, and Manny Machado?
I like the second one better, but I would even leave salary on the table for Jose Ramirez over Machado, unless you're in a San Diego stack, but it's the second one.
Okay. DKGPP. I have 8,100 left for SP2. Looking at Cobb and Kelly, but leaning for the latter with the lower ownership. Gun to head, Cheese. Is ownership an issue with Cobb or Kelly for you, or who's just the better play in your opinion?
It's an issue because I slightly like Kelly better anyway. And you get probably a third of the ownership. Like, if I definitely liked one, I wouldn't care about the ownership, but I slightly lean Kelly anyway, and much more so with the ownership.
Perfect. One more question for you, Cheese. How opposed to you are you opposed to fading Machado for Jose Ramirez in cash?
I prefer Ramirez.
Okay. Off the board stack, TJ, what do you think about the Rangers?
Love it.
Yep, I kind of like the Rangers too. Someone just asking for stacks. Let's say any other stacks we didn't mention that you guys are interested in. I think moving to DK, Cheese, it sounds like both of you guys are kind of into both sides of that Kansas City Detroit game.
Yeah, very much the KC side, especially.
KC, I love for a stack. Detroit, I'm looking more at for one-offs, and then other than that, the ones only available on FanDuel, it's San Diego in a tier of themselves for me, with Colorado, White Sox, Texas, and Cleveland in my second tier.
What was the number we needed for your second Spidey bomb?
150.
All right, we're at 131. Let's get 19 more. We got 8 minutes till lock, folks. Hit that like button on YouTube. I'm looking at some Discord questions right now still. QQ fellas, which first base do you prefer for Kansas City? So we have who's first base?
I mean, that's well, so it's that Ryan O'Hearn also, but that's basically Pasquantino versus Dozier. And they're both fantastic plays. But if you're just picking one, yeah, take Pasquantino.
Cool. Let's see. FanDuel cash for Cheese. Would you rather have Scherzer with 3 $2,500 bats or Bayo with big upside bats? J-Ram, Seager, Schwarber.
In cash, just play Scherzer.
Yeah. How about for cash, TJ? Seager or Witt?
I like Seager, but I believe Cheese likes Witt, and for cash, I'd go with his pick.
Okay. Cheese, DK cash. 3v3 here. Crone, Machado, Hampson, or Voit, Ramirez, Kwan.
I like Voit, Ramirez, Kwan.
Okay, TJ, over to you. DK cash, Blackman or Joe?
Joe.
And what was the first Spidey bomb of the day? Could you remind the chat, please?
Josh Naylor.
Josh Naylor. How good is Scherzer? Scherzer is very good. Cheese, FanDuel single entry. How do I get different from San Diego chalk? The Detroit game's not on FanDuel, so I guess what's your favorite larger field stack here on FanDuel, Cheese?
I mean, you get different by not stacking or not playing San Diego. Those are my answers.
Okay. 7:04, a couple minutes left. Lightning round here pretty much, TJ. DK cash, Hosmer, Seager, Grisham, or Voit, Abrams, Joe?
Second one for me.
Okay. Is Arenado an okay punt for FanDuel Cat? Arenado okay punt for FanDuel Cat?
I think he means that random dude for Tampa.
Yeah. Okay.
In cash, ugh.
Or too risky because Cronenworth would be.
I wouldn't do it.
Okay, sounds good. TJ, FanDuel large field, Nola at pitcher. If I'm playing chalky San Diego guys, can I play Nolan Jones and Ramirez together with them to be different? Is it different enough?
If you don't have Scherzer, definitely, but I would rather do that with Scherzer. But yeah, I think that works.
Okay. FanDuel cash, Cheese, Trent Grisham, or Nomar Mazara straight up?
Like theoretically, the answer is supposed to be Mazzara because he's batting third. I would play Grisham.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Tough one though. Sticking right there from JMVP, another one for you, Cheese. If I'm stacking Kansas City in a DK single entry, would you pay up at SP2 or pay down for a mini Colorado stack?
I would pay up.
Okay. 3v3 FanDuel Cash, TJ. Seager, Naylor, and JD, or Josh Smith, Schwarber, and Connor Joe?
First one.
Okay. Let's see. Worldcast Machin Batten first. Is that how you say his name? Machin?
Machine. I
Machine.
don't really know. I call him the machine.
Any interest? I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I mean, in a full Oakland stack, but that would be it.
Okay.
I have interest because I do like Oakland cheap kind of vomit stack today to go as well with San Diego, but also just that 2,100 price tag on FanDuel. It is valuable. So yeah, I do have some interest.
7:06 p.m. Start wrapping up, folks, and I'm hoping we can get through these here. DK Cash for you, TJ. Would you rather have CJ Crone and Trent Grisham or Luke Voigt and Connor Joe?
Probably Voigt and Joe.
Raw points, Tim Anderson or Luis Robert for DK raw points. Is it just a coin flip? Anything on the matchup? Do you guys like either hitter better in general?
I like Robert quite a bit better in general.
Me as well.
Okay. DK Cash question. Cheeks, I think I'm on you. Hosmer and Grisham or Voigt and Mazzara?
Voigt Mazzara. Yeah.
You sounded so confident in that one. I'm going to give you another one from Carolina guy. Cheeseisgood. Last piece for a FanDuel single entry build. Jock Jams or Calhoun? Who you got?
I'm going Jock.
Awesome. All right. Now let me see if I can quick get some of these in the YouTube chat. I know I had a lot of action in Discord. Thank you. Here's one from Cloud. Alfaro or Jonah Heim for a DKGPP. What do you guys think?
Heim if you don't have either other guys from either team, but I'd say try and complete the stack.
How about in the 888 on DK? Are you playing the Padres or are you getting different hypothetically?
Me personally, today I'm playing small field, big dollar, and I like the Padres on it.
Okay. What do you think their ownership's going to be in that, Cheese, in the high stakes big boy stuff?
Pretty
high.
35, 40.
Yeah.
Like, so honestly, I did not play my usual volume on DK because of this pricing. So I didn't play anything like that tournament because I just think it's dumb. Like there's no edge to it when the correct play is so obvious.
Here's one more for you. TJ, DK Cash, Stephen Kwan or Franmil Reyes?
Franmil.
Okay. I see a 2v2 with your boy Naylor. Adolis Garcia and Josh Naylor or Kyle Schwarber and Jock Peterson. TJ, I'll stick with you.
First one by a lot for me.
Okay. Let's see here. JD Martinez or Jock Peterson, Cheese?
It's two of my favorite plays. I like Jock.
All right.
7 likes away from our second Spidey bomb.
And it's 7:09 Eastern, guys, so make sure you're hitting save or submit. How much Seth Brown is too much Seth Brown? I like this question. I feel like this is our guy Eric on like an alter alias account or something.
Let TJ answer because I know he likes Oakland.
All right, go for it, TJ.
Seth Brown, if I'm MMEing, 20% would be my max I'd put on there. The Cleveland and White Sox game has started, even though walk hasn't happened yet. Tim Anderson is already out.
What do you mean? Oh, not out of the game. Like he
already hit a ground ball and is out, and walk hasn't happened.
That was a frightening way to say that, TJ.
sorry. I apologize.
You're good. You're good.
But yeah, it's very interesting that we're not at walk, and that game has kind of already started going.
Do you guys have a favorite outfielder under 3K on DK? That's a loaded question, I guess, but
is Sheets below 3K on DK still?
I'll tell you in a second.
Yes.
Well, Gavin Sheets, there it is.
Well, unfortunately, that game just locked now, but Sheets would be my guy there, and was also Spidey Bomb number 2, but we didn't hit it. I love Gavin Sheets.
Oh, all right. Feel a good mood tonight, giving away the Spidey Bomb at 143. But Seriously,
It's
guys.
already locked. They were too late.
Thank you for all the great questions and the participation. That was great stuff for a kind of a small slate with a lot of just condensed ownership. Can we get a minion bomb anyway? Cheese, how are you feeling over there?
You know what? Let me see. Let me just ask the guy here. Okay. TJ gets to play with toys on the show. So do I. That'll be Jock Peterson.
Cool. Sounds
I
good.
love that. That was fantastic.
Good show.
And so now that Cleveland game has locked, sorry, it's the way I kind of went about this slate to get a little bit different. It's not going to be very different, but in a small field, I'm hoping it'll be different enough. Is I played a 4-man San Diego stack, and I got Jose Ramirez in there as opposed to Manny Machado. I'm hoping by getting my 4 San Diego guys in there while getting different, having no Machado. And I don't think many people will be able to pay up for both Machado and Ramirez with Scherzer in there. So I'm hoping that's going to be kind of my key to getting different enough today.
Cool. Anything else, fellas, before we get out of here on a Monday night?
Looking forward to some food for thought.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to just seeing whatever happens and losing with it. I just feel like there's no chance that anyone could possibly win tonight, but somebody will have to, because that's the way it works out. So I hope it is one of you.
And I know you're not in for football talk, but we do food talk. So maybe like it's 7-Eleven day, we might have to talk like slushies and slushy flavors. So I know you're probably really jonesing for one since your state doesn't have a 7-Eleven, but do you have a go-to or favorite flavor, Mr. Cheese?
I mean, honestly, I just like the standard Coca-Cola Slurpee. It's just so good.
It's the Max Scherzer of Slurpees, right?
Yeah, it's just why would you not just get that?
I usually mix 3 or 4 different ones, like I'll layer them, but I like a nice blue raspberry flavored. But one of my go-tos is like something real nice, or not a go-to because I don't get it often, but it's delicious on a hot summer day. You get it like a 7-Eleven or any like some type of convenience stores that have Slurpees, and you just get like some soft vanilla ice cream thrown in there with your Slurpee. Mix it up. Oh, that's good.
If I do remember your tweets, and you're an ice cream connoisseur though, Cheese. Am I correct that you're a big fan of the ice cream?
Yes, ice cream is my thing.
Did you ever mix with a Slurpee, or what do you feel? What are your feelings on that?
I have never mixed ice cream with a Slurpee. It seems definitely worth a shot because I mean, like a Coke float is amazing. So why not a Coke Slurpee float? Yeah, I think I'll try that next time.
Cheese, awesome. I would like for you to watch the show Ms. Marvel on Disney Plus, just because there's a fun ice cream reference in, I think, the 2nd episode.
Excellent. It's on our list. My daughter and I watch all those shows together, so that'll be coming up soon.
Perfect.
Cool. We're going to get out of here and we'll watch some baseball. So big shout out to Stevie and the Chief from the GrindersLive show filling in for Dean. Big shout out to producer Steve for doing his thing here. For Cheeseisgood and TJ Zwarych, I don't know your Fanduel handle. I'm the Looch. We'll catch you later, and thanks.